It's Eric back here at ILUMINAR Lighting, and we have got an exciting video for you today. Today, we're going to talk about cables. So, what's so special about all these cables? Well, we have to rewind a little bit and go back to what has happened in the last couple years and what we're going to help kind of change the way we think about passing power through a facility or even your home hobby grow. So, the first thing that we're going to discuss is something called daisy chaining. If you don't know what daisy chaining is, that's where you have two fixtures. One is connected to power on the wall, comes into that first fixture, and then it passes the power to the next fixture. In that system, the weak link is the fixture. If the fixture or the wiring in the fixture fails and is unable to pass power to the next fixture, every fixture that is after the failed one will turn off on you. That's a bad thing, especially for people that don't want their lights turning off accidentally. And if one does, even the worst thing is if a bunch do. So this system actually eliminates that problem by allowing every fixture to have its own independent source of power. Meaning if one fixture for any reason was to go off accidentally even, it's not going to affect the rest of the fixtures in the line. That's one of the features with iLogic. And that is what we're presenting with all of our new LEDs coming out. The second big feature for our iLogic's product lineup for all of these cables is its durability and its forethought to how is this going to be used into the future and how are you going to be able to make this as adaptable wherever you might be, whether it's at home or in a commercial facility. This is going to be able to suit you long term in your electrical needs. What are all these parts and what do they do and how do they all fit together? Well, we systematically made a very simple system that actually wires together your fixtures the same way electricians would wire up fixtures. So you would wire every fixture to have their own individual power source. Now when you do this, you're still allowed to connect multiple fixtures. You're just not passing the power through the fixture. This is good because once there is a failure or something shuts down improperly, you're not going to lose more than the light that actually went down. You're not going to have multiple failures with that. So let's talk about all these pieces here because there's actually a couple different categories. And we'll first kind of dive in here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move out some of our communication cables. Now these communication cables are kind of a separate thing, and they still do work with a daisy chain function for communication, but it's on an independent level, so you're not going to have that breakdown if the fixture powers down. It's still going to have a passive pass-through. So, and that's because you're not carrying a lot of power in that situation. Now, let's move on to the other pieces. There's a couple different pieces here to be aware of. The two most critical pieces in this system when you connect multiple fixtures is our single joint connector right here, which is kind of a T connection. And we have a multi-joint connector right here that actually has multiple points. The single joint, you can connect two fixtures with it, and it'll actually have a nice little diagram on the back so you can see how that works. And then the multi-joint, you're able to actually connect up to 4. Someone says, well, that's great, but when I looked at my breakdown and the amps I'm going to use, the wattage of my fixture and my breaker, I actually wanted to connect more than that. Well, that's where this entire system is modular. So if you wanted to connect, say, 5 and not 4, you would simply add one single joint connector to your multi-joint, and that will make it a 5-point connection. So problem solved right there. And we'll actually have a bunch of layouts available for people to see on all the different configurations you can do with this, as well as a calculator is coming really soon to the website. So whenever you want to know how many units you have, all you do is type it into the calculator, and it's going to spit out the information for you. Other pieces of this puzzle right here that we have is we have our secondary connections. Now the secondary connections are the connections that go from your multi-joint or directly from the fixture to the power source. So this is your first connection away from the fixture. Now there's another cable called a main line. The biggest difference between these two cables is the gauge of wire. The gauge of wire coming to the fixture doesn't need to be as heavy, so we kept a smaller gauge for each independent fixture and made a heavier gauge that would carry the main load from a multi-joint. So those are your two big distinguishing features between a secondary cable and a main cable, so you can understand. Main cable, that's your main power line going all the way to the wall. Secondary, right here, is the one that's going to be going from the fixture into either your multi-joint connector or just to a wall connection if you only have one unit. So now, once we've taken care of the multiple joints or the power connections from your fixture, now we've got to get the connection from the fixture to the actual power source. So what is that? And that's what we've all traditionally known as just your power cord. And most of the time those power cords would be 6, 8, 10, 15 feet long. But that's what we've already handled with the secondary connections or the mainline connection. We've already handled the long connection. Now we need to get that power to the wall. Well, instead of then selling you an additional 6 feet of cable, we simplified it. We shortened it up, so you just have now adapters depending on what power source socket you're going to plug into. So each one of these plugs is set up for each one of their specific ratings. So if you're plugging into 120, here's our 120 cord. It's about 10 inches long. It has your standard NEMA 120 plug connection. You then go up to your 240 the same way. Once again, nice short little plug. And then also we have our 277 connection built the same way. And all of these have our nice snap lock connections in them and makes this very easy to hook up and connect in any situation, as well as, like I said before, making that good watertight IP67 connection, which in most grow environments really need. This is perfect. Now I've got my power to the wall, my fixtures connected. What else could I want? Well, there is one more thing you could want. What if you don't know what cable you want to use? What if the plug or the voltage is yet to be determined? Well, there is one more solution you can do, and that solution is our panel connector. Now, what the panel connector does, which is this product right here, is this allows you to go directly to the wall, bypassing the need for having a plug, if you don't want to use one, and having this mounted directly into a junction box and connecting your power cable right from your fixture into the wall. Now there's no plug. Now there's no risk of this getting unplugged. And best of all, that a lot of these fixtures can't handle is if you're in super wet environments, in very humid environments, if your power cabling is in precarious areas that potentially a plug might fall out of, this right here has all of those benefits eliminated. This is a watertight connection. This is a snap lock connection, which means once it's connected, it's nice and strong, and even if it gets a good yank, it's not going to come unplugged. And this is a very secure connection that can be used between the ranges of 100 volts up to 480 volts. This is a one-fix socket and plug system for any voltage you're using. Now, that's perfect. That's great. But we didn't want to stop there. So what we did was, and you'll see this in our next video, is we now also have boxes that you can buy in a single, a dual, or a quad configuration that are UL listed panel junction boxes that will connect from your main line cables or directly from your fixture to that box, allowing your electrician to only need to connect the power wires back to the breaker. We've taken the power from the fixture all the way up to the junction box. This is going to simplify it for so many electrical setups, and your electricians are going to love this. And tune into future videos and see what we're going to be doing with those junction boxes. And we're making those boxes on a as-needed basis. So if you need something customized in your box, you want something a little different, we can provide that for you. So stay tuned for more on that. But that summarizes our entire CableLogic system and what you need to be successful in connecting from your fixture to power. I knew it was a little bit extensive, but all of our sales reps out there in our retail locations are there to help you if you need better understanding with it. Once again, all of these cable systems come with great little diagrams with all the parts as well as the layout. So fairly simple system once you get into it, but very thoughtful when it's coming into connecting the power to your fixture, because we know no system is ready to go out of the box until you've actually got it plugged in. And this is the best way we can do it. Well, that's what we have for our iLogic system. Please stay tuned and for any new developments that we have with ILUMINAR. And you do that by subscribing. If you enjoyed this video and helped you out understanding how iLogic is going to work with your system, definitely smash that like button. And as always, hit those alerts so you get the newest and latest updates from ILUMINAR. As always, thank you very much for staying to the end. We appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next video.